All right, we are live. Okay, so hello everybody. We have 18 people right now joining us live. I will pull up the Facebook group and see who we have there as well. Thanks for joining us on this busy holiday season for our goal setting workshop. And so you guys all should have gotten by email a document that you should either have printed out or you can fill it out on your computer while you're watching. And we're just kind of going to go through this and be coaching you on the way through. Dr. Shola, you're here. Do you
Hi.
hear? Hi.
Myself.
You'll see up on the top right, you'll see a little video you can click so we can see your lovely face. And when you get on here, then we'll do some introductions and we will get started because we have a new decade starting, which is crazy. And we all have goals, whether that's, our bodies and minds, whether it's professionally, whatever it is, we want to crush this decade. And so this is a way for us to start. So why don't we start? I'll introduce myself and we'll go around. How's that sound, guys?
Sounds
Good.
great to me.
Great. I still can't see myself, but
I can't see you either, Shola.
There's a little video up there on the top right on your screen, so we can see you.
On my screen, video.
Yeah.
Microphone.
Yep, it'll be. Are you on your phone or are you on a computer?
I'm on a computer.
Okay. Are you on Chrome?
Yes.
Okay. Huh. Interesting. You don't see a little video icon?
Cynthia says she can't see any of us. I wonder why. Maybe she's it's strange. Okay. So Cynthia, maybe go on Chrome. It's going to work better. Maybe you're on Safari, or if you're on a phone, it might be hard.
Yeah, no, I'm on my computer. I'm on Chrome, and I don't see this icon. See a microphone here, but no video. Oh, come on.
You all should have gotten a document. If it would have been an email was sent to you, not the confirmation, but slightly afterwards. Let me see if I can drop it in here for some reason. Can I do that? I can share my screen. Maybe we can do it that way.
You could do that, yeah.
Okay. When Shola came on, the video disappeared. Cynthia, you can't see us at all? How about anyone else?
When Shola came on the
video. Shola.
It's weird.
Okay, Marion can see us. Okay, all right. Well, we'll just...
The phone might be a problem, okay? All right, so it doesn't matter. I think that if they can...
Most of this is going to be just us chatting, so... Great. So I'm Heather Hammarstedt. I'm an emergency medicine physician. I'm also a lifestyle medicine physician. I run Holist. We work with women around trying to figure out the misconceptions around food and their self-story around food, really breaking through the mindset and around how we fuel ourselves and the evidence around what we should be eating and when in order to get to the goals that we have, whatever that is. And so it's getting to sustainable lifelong health with the side effect of weight wellness. Dr. Shola, why don't you introduce yourself? Oh, she's gone. Jeanne, what about you?
Okay, I'm in. I'm Jeanne Omlor. I'm a business profit strategist and coach, and I help experts and coaches and certain service providers to scale online, offline, and to do it with integrity and leadership and a lot of other great stuff. Yeah. But my thing is helping people really light a fuse to their genius zone and make the money that they deserve.
Love it. Yeah. And Shola, welcome back.
Hi. Thank you very much. My name is Shola Ezeokoli. I am an internist. I am one of the Holist life coaches. I also have my own life coaching speaker business. I help multi-talented people live their dreams. That's the long and short of it. Yeah. I do many other things, but I take people who have all these multiple talents that they want to do different things with outside of their job, etc. And I help them build on those to live their purpose, create streams of income, have fun, etc. I'm also, like I said, I'm the mindset coach for Holist. And my third thing that I do with coaching, which I love so much, is I help people write and self-publish their own books and become Amazon bestsellers. So yes. I love what I do.
Yes, and we love you. So thank you for coming. Too bad we can't see your lovely face, but
Man, and I got food up for you all and everything.
all right, I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see here. Why don't we start, Jeanne? Why don't you start with tell us a little bit about your audacious goal setting.
Okay, well, I'm first of all, I'm big on productivity, as well as I feel like productivity is such a large part of success and planning. So I work with, as Heather knows, I work with first of all a lot of things, but 90-day planning, not just whole year planning. And by the way, folks, now is the time before the new year hits to really get very clear and intentional about not your goals and resolutions. It's more about your I call them just objectives. And sometimes if you call them goals, I do have goals, but sometimes people get scared with the word goal. So call it whatever you want, what you want to create this year. Really get intentional before the year starts, because once that year starts and then you have not planned and done that headspace, you are trying to catch up all year long. And that is not a good feeling.
Absolutely.
So, right. So now one of the things I do that is really scaled and really gotten me much further is what's called huge audacious goals. And I didn't think of this. I forget who thought of this, actually. I have to think about that. But I do it in a different way. And it's not Grant Cardone's like 10 timesing, because it's not about 10 timesing, because it might not be 10 times. It might be 3 times, or it might be 20 times what you're doing. So I don't think the measure of the multiplication is really what's important. I think it's really to think outside of the box. And, they say that when you aim for like this high, then maybe you'll get this high. So if you aim for this high, you'll get this high. Oh, now I'm going all blurry. But the point is that if you get really audacious and really daring with your goals, objectives, where you want to be, you do go far higher than you would have, because you've raised your whole level of expectation about what you want to bring into your life or your business or whatever it is that you're creating. So what I do is I write a list, and I can share this sheet with you. If anybody's interested, reach out. It's very simple. It's very simple. A lot of these things are very simple. It's just really thinking about ridiculous. I mean, really wild. I call them wildly audacious goals as well, wigs or hacks. And I'm wild. And sometimes I will look at those goals and I'll be like, darn, I mean, I'm not far off that hugely audacious goal. And if I had not intended to not plod along, I'm not a plodder. I'm really not, Heather. You know that. I'm not a plodder. I don't even believe in plodding. I believe in putting in the work. But I believe in like enormous stretches and plodding towards those enormous stretches. And I believe that this mindset of like expectation of enormous things, that is how people got to the moon. Really. They didn't say, hey, let's fly to Memphis. They said, let's fly to the moon. And they did it. They did it. They never would have done that if they didn't say, let's go to the moon. That was wildly audacious.
Yeah.
Right?
No kidding. Yeah. That's awesome.
What is a BHAG? Oh, a BHAG. It's a big, hairy, audacious goal. Okay. I don't like the word hairy. It just makes me feel like something about hairy is like, it's just so off-putting. So yes, but you're right. It was Jim Collins. That was it. Thank you.
Great.
Donna, thanks for your wisdom. I completely blanked on that.
Awesome. So I pulled up the document that everyone should have got again. It was sent by email, not the confirmation email, but another one coming from either hello@holisthealth.com or heather@holisthealth.com. I don't remember. So I put it up here so you guys can look at it. So what Jeanne was just talking about a little bit is this big picture goal, right? So like, how big can you dream? And I want you guys to spend some time and like literally like chat us questions. If you want to pop on here live on a video and ask questions, or you can keep your video off if you want and ask questions, we're here for you. This is all about what you guys want. And so Shola, while they're kind of getting into their big picture goal for themselves, do you want to talk a little bit about what you think about big picture?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love your method. Your method. I mean, like you, like you, I'm not a plotter either. And I'm also a bit of a dreamer. So I would sit there and just imagine things. And so much of what you said resonates with me to where, if you set little goals, you just don't put that much effort behind it. It's not going to happen. I remember when I was setting a goal to lose 5 pounds, I didn't lose 5 pounds. In fact, I gained 12. But guess what? When I set the goal to lose 25 pounds, they all came off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing. I tell people this. Dreaming is free, right? So why not dream? At least it starts with a dream. Of course, you can't just dream. You still have to, put some work behind it. But, you can't just dream, but dreaming is free. Sit down. Imagine what it'll be like to have whatever it is you want to have. But here's what I found. Because, especially as women, it's almost like, if you think of a child, right? Children want everything. But then we start to tell them, be realistic. Be realistic. You can't have that. You can't have everything you want. So as we get older, we start to buy into it to the point where we're so scared to want anything.
Yeah.
So when you ask people, sometimes I'll be in the middle of a session with a client and I'll just go, what do you want? And it's like, it's like, come on. And I'm like, come on. People's wants have been covered up with so many layers of realism, so-called realism, which, in the end, what's reality but our perspectives anyway, right?
100%.
So you create your own reality. So people's wants have been covered over by so much realism that, first of all, they don't feel they have the permission to dream, to want. And if you don't want something or dream of something, you can't set goals behind it. So yes, I totally believe in, setting goals, but, start with, what do you want? What's my dream? And just putting it out there.
Yeah, I think so many of us are just afraid to say it out loud, because if we say it out loud and we fail, then then people know it, right? But in the end, like, I don't know, who cares, right? It's
who cares,
yeah.
So in one fell swoop, I changed my financial goals from 6 figures to 7 figures, because I'm like, why not?
Why not?
And there's a thing we have back home in Nigeria. The people who make millions of dollars don't have 2 heads, do they?
Yeah. Now it's 7 figures. Now you're sounding like Jeanne.
Right. But it's really interesting because that show Scandal, where it's got the character Olivia. I love that show because that's kind of my alter ego. I literally ask my clients, what do you want? And I feel like I'm going, what do you want? Because it's like, what do you, and to me, really what's important is what do they want? And they're like, well, I don't care about shoulds.
Should.
And sometimes, people have actually cried on the phone when I said that. And they said, nobody has ever asked me what I want. No one. And let's think about it. Does your husband ask you all the time, what do you want? Your kids? I mean, your sister, your mom? Nobody really who wants to share. Yeah. But nobody really says, what do you want? And literally, I've had people cry on the phone. They said, Jeanne, nobody ever asked me that. Nobody cares. Yeah. So I think it's really important, like Shola said, it's for us to get clear on what we deeply desire, what we want, not what we should have or we should do, or low expectations, or the fear of wanting because we might not get it. Heck, it doesn't matter if you don't get it. What matters is that you tried, that you gave it your best shot.
Yeah, if you don't put it out there, you're not going to get it. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, so we've got Amina says her goal is feel great, have energy, look beautiful, feel free, and achieve inner peace and tranquility. That's awesome.
Ooh, great.
Gina, hi Gina. So let me talk a little bit about the why, since Gina asked, she's confused about the goal and the why. So for me, the why, the goal is like what? The goal is like that big what that you want. For me, the why is getting into what will motivate you to actually get it. And so for us at Holist, when we're talking to people about getting to the body and the mind that they want using sustainable practices, the number on the scale is not enough often to get people to actually make those changes in the moment. What it is, Gina wants to prevent heart disease and osteoporosis. It's, I want to hang out with my grandkids. It's me, I want to lay down on the floor and get up and hang out with my grandkids, right? Or it's, I want to like know that I have the capacity to control the way that I fuel myself and the way that I control my thoughts and my actions and my feelings and my results. It's those big things. And so for me, those of you who are on my Facebook group know that I'm constantly talking about asking your questions to yourself like you're a 3-year-old. So when you start writing down something, whether it's anything, you're working through a problem and you're asking yourself why, and then you write down the answer, and then you ask why, and you write down an answer, and you ask why, and you write down an answer, right? Until you have no more questions left. And what you get out of that is the real serious why, the foundational why that will help you make those hard choices, whether it's in business, whether it is in your personal life and motivating yourself for some goal, or whether it's around food. And so that's what I think about the why. Have you guys certainly chime in on your thoughts?
I agree. I mean, I truly believe that if people aren't deeply, innately, and I use that word a lot, innately motivated, outside motivation only works for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
If somebody is outwardly motivated, this is not somebody that's going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning. They're not going to have a motor. I call it the motor pushing you forward. If it's a very superficial, whimsical kind of why. So if people get really clear, I mean, why do you want to make money? Do you want to make money because you like money sitting in your bank account? No, you don't. You want to make money because you want to be free. You want your kids to be secure. You want to be able to afford the best food. Like I want to afford the best food because I really care about my health, as you do, Heather. And you really want to get so clear on what is that very deep internal motivation and deepest desire of why you would do something. And that is why a lot of people, what do you think, Heather? I think a lot of people can't lose weight, can't make money in business because they're not connected to a very deep desire of why they want to do this. And it's not enough to say, oh, I want to lose 5 pounds because I want to look good. Yes, okay, but I think there's a deeper desire than just looking good. And I think there's a much deeper desire as far as like making money. We don't just want to make money. We want to be free. We want to help people. We want to help our church. We want to put money aside for our kids' college. We want to travel. We want to feel that, like, when you make more money, there's a spring in your step. You feel free. You just feel free and not worried. So I think if people, I like your system, Heather, of like journal. I think that's a really good system, actually, because it's a process of the why. So I recommend that.
Yeah, that's great. So we've got Tia says, find more work-life balance, financial independence to free me up to make choices based on my desire, not need. And her big audacious goal to be a sports psychiatry consultant for professional organizations to develop mental health programs. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about I know both of you like to do sort of 90-day planning, but let's talk a little bit bigger. Let's break that big picture goal down to 3-year goals. How would you guys do that? How would you advise our listeners?
On 3-year goals?
Yeah. How would you break down your big audacious goal into, because what we're going to do is we're going to work through and kind of get it down, break it into more snackable pieces until we get to what we need to do this week,
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm a big, reverse engineering person. So first of all, it's been proven that 90-day planning, big companies like Procter & Gamble, all of their executives have to do 90-day planning. That is how much research has gone into the success of people that break things into 90 days. And you don't even have to start. It's good now. We're on this now because you guys can start your 90-day planning on January 1st, do the quarter, and you got 4 quarters. But you can start this at any time, but we're just lucky it's now. Okay. That's been proven because what happens is the human brain cannot take in a whole year, and they certainly can't take in 3 years, but it is good to have those. To us, 3 years is just too far away. We can't even think about that, but we can think 12 weeks from now. We can say, okay, 90 days from now, I want this to happen. Then you reverse engineer and you say, okay, the milestone is 60 days. So then if that's got to happen in 90, that means in 60, this needs to happen. And then you go to 30. So now you have 30, 60, 90. Your brain can certainly register. Then you say, wow, if I need that to happen in 30 days, that means the first 2 weeks, this needs to happen in the third week and the fourth week. So you now have like milestones all along the way, and your brain can connect those dots. Okay. So then you have, okay, then we know 30 days. Great. I get to that milestone. Wow. I got to get to that 60. So now I'm going to break down those weeks, what needs to happen in the second month. And you don't need to do this all at the beginning. Yeah. I'm big on the 90, the 60 to 30, and then working out the first month, because that is how our brains work. And then I also do blueprinting. So I would just have bullet points of the next 3 months and just points of what's going to happen, so I can glance at that. And I do that I have that in my morning mindset formula, actually.
Yeah, awesome.
So your brain has 90 days. We can do that. The whole 90 days, 12 weeks, it works. It's been proven. So then you think, okay, I got the 90 days, but then I'm thinking of my yearly goals. Then you can sort of vaguely say, okay, this is 90 days. Well, that means in 180 days, this should be happening. And that means that, you know, the next lot after that, between 360, because I'm pretty fried today, but, you know, sorry, 3, 6, 9 months from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can do that loose plotting, but you can't really, and you can plot planning like in your planner of things that need to happen that year, but your mind can't figure out how to do all the things you need to do for a whole year. It's just, you can't, you got to do loose plotting for the year, very high level plotting for every 90 days, because then you will actually do it. And this has been proven. So
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, the 3 years, that's even further away. But yes, it's been proven that people that have goals, the 3% of people that are successful are those people that write down their goals and plot them. So yeah, sure, write the 3 years, and also 5 years is a good thing to do. Just have it somewhere that you can look at it every now and then. But your brain, again, cannot plan 4 or 5 years and actively do stuff. So short-term planning is the way to go, with a view. So you're doing what I call is like your head down in the short, and then you lift your eyes to longer term vision and then go back down again. So it's just back and forth. That's how I work.
That's like why I put the big picture goals and the foundation and the 3-year goals at the front. Not because I think you can actually work the whole way back from that, but I think it's for me, it's nearly impossible for me to know what I need to be concentrating on in the next 90 days if I don't have that big goal. So for me, if I'm talking about whole list, right, my big picture goal is that like we're going to be all over the country and helping like, you know, hundreds of thousands of women kind of break through this bullshit that we have around our self-story about who we are and food, right? And the foundational why is because I want, you know, women to be able to have the confidence and belief in their capacity of who they are, but I also want them to be using the evidence of how they can get sustainable long-term health, right? So for me, that gets me up every morning, that gets me on the phone call with someone, that, you know, that gets me doing my daily work. 3-year goals for me would be, you know, picking, you know, where exactly in the country I want to have teams of people working at 3 years. And so that my smaller pieces can be, okay, I'm going to work on a Massachusetts team and I'm going to this month, and I'm going to work on, you know, a Seattle team this month. And so I can break it down that way. So that's kind of how my brain works around all this.
Right. And Gina, I do SMART goals too.
Yeah.
Okay. SMART goals are good. What does that mean again? I'm a bit fried. SMART is, let's see.
Hold on one second. I've got a slide for you.
Stretch.
It's right there.
And then
measurable.
Specific, measurable, attainable. Yes. Good. Time bound. Okay. So time bound is the really important one. If we don't time bound bind us, we don't, you know, it's been also, I also coach on productivity a lot, but you know that thing that if you, did you know this, Heather, that if you say, okay, I'm going to do something and I'm going to give 3 hours, you will expand into those 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. You will. You say, I'm going to do the same thing and do it in an hour. You will do it in an hour. And if you don't, well, then you'll say, wow, I didn't get it done. I need another 15 minutes. So this thing of expanding into the container that we place for ourselves. This is why some people procrastinate, and they can take days to do something because they're telling themselves, I'm going to do this in the next few days. They're just wasting their lives. So the time-bound part of it is, I think, the most important. The T, to me, is the most important, and specifics pretty important. It's all important, but the time-bound, I think, is the one that people really, there it is. Yes, it's here also. There, Heather did that good. It's the time-bound is the one I feel like the people fall down the most with. They're pretty good at getting specific, measurable. Okay. The time-bound really, I think, is the Achilles heel of most people, because they have this idea that just time just goes blah, 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 blah. And if you don't create mini containers for everything you're doing, and I actually do something called time auditing. And I have this thing now where I break my days into 2 days. I actually have 2 days. So I'll say my day starts at the 8, say, with working, and I'll go till 12 midday. That's my first day. Then I'm going to start my second day from 12 till maybe 5 or 6. And if you tell yourself you have 2 working days, you actually do more, because it's not like, oh, the day is now just, just sort of going along. And I think this, and I will actually do hour productivity audits. I'll set a timer and I'll say, okay, what am I doing in this hour? And when you get really, really, really intentional about what you're doing every hour and every half hour, you just do more. Now, I know people say it causes anxiety, but for me, it causes less anxiety, because I know that I am just containing my time into hours, days. And this is the hugest issue, is people just let time run away.
Yeah.
And we have a very limited number of days. I mean, we're all going to die. I know that that's not what you want to hear right before New Year's in 2020. I've got a lot of flack in a group because I actually count the days till, like, I count like my life expectancy, and it's a thing people do. I have about 12,000 days left if nothing goes wrong. Okay. I have about 12,000 days left. If I'm healthy and things go well, that's not, I mean, that's measurable, right?
Yeah.
So I now remind myself every day I have about 12,000 days, and every day I take 1 day off. And I think to myself, what am I going to do with the 12,000 days left on this earth? And that's not morbid.
Yeah.
It's being conscious
of
reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have some comments here on Facebook. Marion wants to know what your morning mindset is. And so, yeah. And Shola, I'm sure you have something similar. And I do as well, kind of a morning affirmations. If you guys want to share what your plans are for Marion and everyone else watching, and then we'll kind of probably go into quarterly planning and see if anybody needs help getting to that part of their worksheet.
Okay. Well, I think Shola should run with the morning mindset because it's really up her alley.
So my morning mindset is not like any you've ever heard or seen. Okay, so I typically do my morning mindset work when I'm driving home in my car from dropping off my kid at school, because that's the time that I'm wide awake. I'm wide awake. I'm alone. And I'm in my car. I'm not going anywhere. So I know a lot of people, like, when you first jump up in the morning, you have to do gratitude. You have to do this. When I first wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I read 15 minutes of a book. So right now I'm reading You're a Badass at Making Money by Jeanne Sincero or something like that. So I do that for 15 minutes. So that's from like 5:30 to 5:45. Then I get up, get ready to get these kids out to school, because we leave home at 6:30. But then when I drop her off, I have 30 minutes to myself in my car. I can't text, I can't call anyone, or don't want to. So I decided to use that time to get my mindset right. So I meditate. Obviously I don't close my eyes. I put on calm music and I meditate. I let my thoughts flow in and out. I just, I'm not plotting or planning or scheming. I meditate. I do some prayers, and that sort of takes me home. And I noticed that by doing that, it really does set the tone for the rest of my day. Sometimes ideas come to me. Sometimes it's almost like I have time to think. I have time to be myself, instead of just jumping into the day and rushing. I used to feel very guilty about not doing it first thing in the morning, but I'm like, first thing in the morning, I'm kind of sleepy. So if you try to meditate first thing in the morning, you're like nodding off, and then, this isn't working. So I do all that, and then and then I get home, then go to my office. And when I get to my office, I say a few affirmations. I have a few affirmations on my wall. Exciting opportunities appear for me every day. I'm a money magnet. Every day, in a variety of ways, money comes to me at the speed of thought. I have a successful family. I have it all. I'm not sacrificing one good thing for another good thing. You know, and on it goes. I have the different ones in my office. And then I get a jump on my day. So that's my simple mindset work that I do in the mornings.
That's great. Mine's not always in the morning either because I work nights. But I find time, I try to find at least 5 to 10 minutes every day at the start of whenever my day is to like really think about what I accomplished the day before, to think about what my goals are for the week, to concentrate on the people that I'm serving and what I'm able to bring to them that day. And then similarly doing kind of affirmations about who I know that I am, who, like what I know that I'm serving people with and the value that I'm bringing. It really helps me just sort of like think about the day in a fresh way and like a motivating way. But also I really do think that, you know, the thoughts that we create do create your actions. And if you're not purposefully choosing those thoughts, you're not able to rewire your brain in a way that you're able to get your results. So, yes, awesome. So we have, Varsha, you said that you wanted to be promoted to senior vice president. So tell us some things here in the chat or come on and let us help you get there. So the way that I break down from taking annual goals down into priorities of the quarter and objectives this month, the reason why I do it that way is trying to like, again, just sort of narrow down that big audacious goal into what is it that I need to be concentrating on now, because all of us know in business or in medicine or as a parent or whatever it is you're trying to do, there's a lot of shiny objects that get exciting and sexy and you chase them. And then it means that you often get off track to what those things are. And sometimes those shiny, sexy objects are awesome and they end up adding to the life experience that gets you to your goal. But you really do have to, kind of make sure that you're spending the majority of the time on the thing that's bringing you the most value or has the potential to bring you the most money, you know, if that's, you know, what it is that your goal is. So what do you guys think about kind of months and quarters?
Well,
so, sorry.
Shola, you already talked about quarters.
Okay. So
90 days.
Yeah.
I have a 10-year plan written down that I review every now and again. So, you know, but I, you know, like you said, a lot, you know, I agree with everything that you said, because you have to be able to break things down into bite-sized pieces that you can easily see. The other day I was like, okay, how does one go from where I am to $1 million a year? I said, okay, you know, what do you do? $1 million a year, that means 80,000, that means roughly 80,000 a month. Okay, so how much do I have to make per day to reach this goal, to generate in revenue per day to reach this goal? And again, I'm talking about money because money is relevant to everyone, even though sometimes you like to pretend that it isn't. So that means, okay, if I work Monday through Thursday, I have to generate $4,000 a day in revenue every single day to hit $1 million. And all of a sudden it became something tangible, something tangible that I could see, rather than just, because a lot of times even when we get to the point where we want something or we can dream for it, just being able to sit down and put it into bite-sized pieces. And piggybacking on that, the SMART goals are okay, but to me, they don't really serve actually bringing the goals to pass. So I have a proprietary system that I call GPS AC, you know, GPS and, you know,
Oh, and so everybody, we actually talked about this, Shola and I, for about 15 minutes on the Curate Your Health podcast. So if you want to hear her explain all of this in detail, definitely go subscribe to that podcast. It's my podcast, Curate Your Health. And I think she's episode 13 or something like that. So go ahead, Shola.
Yeah. So with that method, so I shouldn't go into it right now, right?
No, you can. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Briefly. Yeah.
So real quick. So G stands for goal. And the goal, sometimes people don't even know what a goal is. The goal is where you want to be. The goal is the end point. So guess what? Your goal is not to lose 10 pounds. Your goal is to be 150 pounds. That's the goal, the end point. Now, The next thing you do after you got your goal, okay, the goal is the end point of where you want to be. The next thing you want to do is a plan. How do I get to, let's say I'm 250 pounds and I want to be 150 pounds. The goal is 150 pounds. The goal is not to lose X. Now, the plan is to lose X. Okay, so if you're 250 and you want to be 150, your plan is to lose 100 pounds, which is that. So now you've broken down, you've taken your goal. Goal is where you want to be. Now the plan. The next, where it gets really fun is now your strategy. You now break your plan down into strategy. Okay, what are the ways in which I can lose 100 pounds? Do I do bariatric surgery? Do I join Holist? The answer to that is yes, by the way. Do I go to the gym? The answer to that is maybe no, by the way. You should go to the gym, but going to the gym may not take you from 250 to 150. Okay, so the strategy is those things that you do to bring the plan to pass. But guess what? These things do not happen after one attempt, and they do not happen in isolation. So the AC part is accountability. A is for accountability. So you've got your GPS down, goal, plan, strategy. A is for accountability. You need to hold yourself accountable, and you need people to hold you accountable. No man is an island. So a lot of times people have these goals and they don't tell anyone, and then they wonder why it's not happening, because there's nobody holding your feet to the fire. You have friends, you have coaches, you have mentors, you have accountability partners. So A is for accountability, and C, which is what a lot of times we forget, is consistency. You have to stay with it. You don't give up. Because a lot of people, I tried that, but it didn't work. Yeah, okay. You tried it for how long? 2 weeks. I laugh at you in whatever language people can laugh. Because it's like, no, this is not going to work. I would have patience. I would say, oh, I mean, I've not lost any weight. It's like, okay, so when did you start this change? It's like 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, child, I'm about to fall on my chair. No.
Now everybody knows why Shola is on my team, right?
I have to say, one of my things is persistency and consistency. Persistence and consistency. Because you can't do anything in life if you do not do it for more than a day. I like your 2-week thing. I mean, I find it funny when people say, oh, Jeanne, well, I tried this. And I'm like, really? Well, go do that another 100 times and then come back. It doesn't work. You know?
So this brings us really well to this accountability piece. And I know, Jeanne, in your business, you have everyone have accountability partners. Talk to us about kind of how someone could make that work for themselves a little bit.
Well, I even have, people can't believe, I actually have an accountability partner. Okay, I have coaches and mentors, but actually have an accountability partner. And I just find it's an extra sounding board, and it's not my mentor, it's not my coaches, it's a colleague, and it's just somebody to, I don't know, just to talk to. And and they're not going to coach me on stuff, and I don't need them to, but it's a friend, and we just sort of brainstorm sometimes, and some valuable stuff comes out of it. And it's really, my accountability partner travels around the world. So also I get some like really good, vicarious living, because he's always sending me photos of like ice flows in, North, I don't know. And he went off on this trip, and I was like, this is awesome. So I said, even if you don't help me at all, I just want to see your photos. So that adds value to me, because I used to do a lot of traveling. So I'm like, well, at least I'm seeing photos. But no, it's really important that, as Shola said, somebody other than yourself. And I know there are self-starters, but it's kind of lonely. And I certainly am a self-starter, and I don't really need an accountability partner, to be quite honest, because I'm one of those people that I am so self-motivated but it's pleasant and I like it and adds value. But for people that are not particularly motivated and are doing something really difficult, like losing a lot of weight or building the business from zero and getting to a mindset that they're on 5K and they want to get to 40K per month, that's a huge stretch. You're going to need all the help you can get. So I do have my clients team up, apart from all the accountability I give them, and you know what that is, Heather, and all the help. It's just a colleague. And it's been proven again. What I do is I look at research. Research has proven people that do 90-day planning are more successful. Research has proven that really successful people always have a notepad in their pocket or in their purse. I will not go out of the house without a notepad and a piece of paper. I mean, and a pen. It's just been proven, because you forget stuff, you're talking to people, you write it down, you go home, it's still there. They've said that like the one tool of millionaires is a pad and paper. It's like the one thing they figured out that millionaires always have on them. Always. I think Richard Branson was talking about this at one point, that most of his money was made from this little notebook he had in his pocket. I think it was him who said that. And what was I talking about? So the research is, yes,
accountability.
Accountability. It's been proven that if you have accountability, it is going to be so much easier to get to your goals. And my thing is, if it's going to be easier, why not do it? If it's, it's been proven challenges get you further. So if a challenge is presented to you, like I have challenges in my groups, like, we have like a 10 strategy session challenge in my group. It's been proven that will get you more strategy sessions. So why wouldn't you help yourself? It's also been proven that people that do mindset every day, it has been proven it's easier for those people to be successful. It's also been proven that people who do creative visualization, like, visualizing what the results you want in your life, or the house you want to buy, or big one, athletes do this. It is known. Top athletes do creative visualization. They visualize hitting a home run. And it's also been proven that they have test results. They have like one group of athletes that does more actual practice, and another group of athletes that does practice but creative visualization. They are more successful. That is how important the mind is in creating that picture. So part of my morning mindset is doing a creative visualization. And I take myself through how I want things to be over and over and over again. And sometimes it changes and it develops. And like, I can even I can feel the salt water on me when I'm doing my imagine. I used to be an actress, so I'm pretty good at imagining stuff.
Yeah.
But sorry?
I'm going to interrupt a little bit and read a couple of the chats for the folks on Facebook. Shola says she has a notebook called The Ideas Factory. Dr. Jeanne Omlor, who's our neuro coach, one of our mindset coaches for Holist, is here. Hi, Sean. He says an accountability partner extends your frontal lobes and reduces your vulnerability to getting off track. And Devin says that she carries her bullet journal around with her at all times for that. And Margaret has a question maybe for Shola. Who's the best accountability partner in your opinion? Is it a friend, coworker, spouse?
So in my opinion, the best accountability partner is someone who is on the same journey as you. So maybe it's a friend or a coworker, but I think they have to be on the same journey as you, or a similar journey. Like, my accountability partner is a career coach for women. I'm a life coach. So I prefer that, because then they understand you. They understand where you're going. And for me, my accountability partner, we both hold each other accountable, to different things. So I think that someone on a similar journey with you, and there are people like that all over. If you look hard, you don't even have to look too hard. You will find somebody who's on a similar journey with you. So yeah.
Hey, Margaret.
Not my spouse.
Yeah, no, definitely not my spouse. Hey, Margaret, if you send me a text if you want me to get you an accountability partner within Holist, I'm happy to do that for you. Okay, so some of what we're talking about right now is this step 4, the strategy, right? So we're talking about habits that we need to change or develop in order to get what you want to accomplish. And so we're talking about morning mindset. We're talking about accountability partners. We're talking about visualization. We're talking about all these things. These are habits, right? So this is where we are right now in our worksheet here, guys. If you have any questions about habit changing and how you do that, obviously with Holist, this is the majority of what we're doing. We're changing the habits about what we think about food and what food is for, and we're changing our habits about what we think about how we use food for ourselves, and we're changing our habits about what we think about ourselves as women. And we're kind of, with our neuroplasticity, rewiring our brain so that we have those thoughts come subconsciously, so to create those new actions and feelings. So for habits, for that's like how that is sitting down every day and doing the work to think about what are the thoughts I need to make myself have today to get to the feelings and the actions and the results that I want. So that's one habit that we work on a lot. Any practical habits for you guys for your life coaching or business coaching that we haven't talked about so far?
Well, I just, when you were talking, I have to say that people have to develop more grit. Now, I know that's not, they don't want to hear
That's
that.
my 2020 word. That's great.
Yeah, well, I lecture on grit. People
awesome.
pay to talk about grit. And I actually interviewed Paul Stoltz on video, the guy that wrote the book, one of the books. And, you know, it sounds tough, but really anything worth having in life is going to be a little hard. So this whole thing of, oh, something made easy. And well, you know what? I like actionable steps. I wouldn't say that my coaching is easy. I would say I break it down into actionable steps so people can comprehend and take ownership and do the step by step. I think so. It's not easy, but I've broken it down so it's not confusing and it's grabbable. So okay, so it's here. But really, if you don't develop grit, not much will be possible in your life. If you're like, gee, I can't get out of bed in the morning because I just don't want to, or oh, it's so hard to, it's so hard to eat well, and I've done it for 3 days. You have to develop grit, and it's more than discipline. Grit is more than discipline.
Yes.
Grit is toughness. It's mental and physical toughness. It's being an Iron Man. You know that guy, Jesse Itzler? I went to a conference with him, and he has a book that he had a Navy SEAL, a very famous SEAL, live in his home for a month. And he realized what grit was. Like, if you really, really want to crush it, you have got to be an adult. And nobody wants to talk about this. You have got to do tough things in your life. Like Heather, you have grit. I mean, you're my hero. You're up all night working.
She's all of our heroes.
And you have this business. You have grit, girl. And again, people just want easy. They want everything to be easy and fairy-like. And oh, it's just so hard. No, it's not that hard. What is hard is letting your life pass you by, and then you get older and you think, if I had just gone for it, if I had just had more discipline, if I had just had more grit, that is the hard part, is that regret. Really, that to me, that kills people. Those stories of people that let their lives, that is a shame.
Hey,
so people,
Shola, I think she's our life coach. You're doing a great job, Jeanne. That's awesome. I love that.
Goggins, yes, that's who it is. And it's also very funny because Jesse Itzler is hysterical. And he also does that thing that I do of counting how many days you have left. Like he does that. I thought, oh, he does that too. So anyway, so that's my very unsexy, really unwanted, because nobody loves when I say this. People hate when I talk about this. They're like,
no, honestly, so I talk to every woman who comes into Holis for at least an hour before we even decide if we're right for them. And so I can get to know them and see what we need. And I am constantly telling everyone, like, you have to understand how hard this is going to be. And and when people are like, I'll just let's just do it. And I'm like, oh, wait, hold on a second. I don't know if you actually heard what I said, right? Because I want people to really understand that this is, serious work. And that's what it takes to change your life.
There's no magic wand out there, folks.
No.
There's none. No.
You know how
I'm the thing for the magic wand, but it's hard work.
Yeah, totally. Shola, what's up?
But you know how weird it is that people accept grit in certain things, but not in others. Let me give you an example. Everyone knows you have to go to school to study to get a degree. And they do that. Everyone knows that you have to get up and go to a job through rain, snow, sleet, or hail. But then when it comes to other things like, I don't want to go to the gym, or well, I feel like I can't do that because it's not easy. I tell people that nothing is easy, really. And this expectation, this unrealistic expectation of ease just doesn't jive with the rest of life. Nothing is easy. I would rather, most people, if you ask them honestly, they would rather lie in their bed and eat bonbons, right?
Yeah. So it's good to me.
Everybody would rather just lay in bed and eat bonbons and watch TV. That's easy, but nothing else. And I've told my clients that, listen to me, getting up to get out of bed is not easy. So, you know, looking for an easy life is just kind of looking for an unreal life, you know, and mentally kind of preparing yourself to the point to say, you know what, I'm going to stick this out no matter what it takes. When people come back with me, when I like, sometimes, you know, you give people advice on the fly or whatever, which I don't do much of these days. They say things like, well, that's more easily said than done. I said, listen to me. Everything is more easily said than done. So it's up to you to make a choice. You decide whether you're going to go with more easily said than done, or whether you're going to get up and do what you need to do for your own life.
Yeah. Yep. That's great.
You know what's interesting? It's interesting that children have more grit than most adults, because when children are learning to walk, they fall
trying to walk.
Right. No, they have more grit. They just don't know it because it's unconscious grit.
Yeah.
Right.
We talk about grit all the time in my house with my little people. Most recently, my 5-year-old is a really good skier. He skis on blues. And but he's so tiny that he can't stand up on his own, and he can't get onto the chairlift on his own. So he has to wear this little backpack, you know, that we pull him up with. And he's really mad that he has to wear it because he knows he's a good skier and he's on the blues and he's wearing this and all this stuff. But we're telling him, you know, well, then you have to show us the grit that you got to learn how to stand up, and you got to learn to turn around and hop onto that chairlift, right? And so, you know, 5-10 times a day, we're like talking about grit, you know, stand up there, buddy. Yeah. So let's talk a little, we have about 10 minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about time management and about boundaries to see if we can get some gold here for our listeners. So Jeanne, time management for you when you coach your clients. How do you
so time management is like one of my favorite things. I actually did a whole productivity and time management. And okay, first of all, my philosophy is you don't manage time. You don't. Time is a powerful force.
I agree.
And we don't manage time. We manage ourselves around time. Okay. So people go, you're not doing any time management, honey, because time is just going to keep going and galloping along without you. Right?
Control.
Right. So what you do is you manage yourself to fit in with time. And by the way, it's really fascinating. We created time. We created the whole concept of time. Time didn't exist in the old days. We created calendars. All they knew was the sun came up and it went down. They didn't know about hours. They didn't know about minutes. It's a fascinating book about this, actually. I can't remember what the book was. I wish I could find it again. But I was fascinated that, it's a human construct, time. So we created this. But anyway, when time does gallop, it just used to be one long day in the old days in the prehistoric times. So what you do is you say, okay, there's this force that's just going to keep going, and we're going to age and everything's going to happen. So how do I manage myself? And I'm really into health, Heather, like really into health and looking good. I'm just going to tell everybody my age. I'm 54 years old. Okay. I really care about not looking 54 because it's not just how I look. I work out, I eat really well because I don't give up. I don't say, oh, I'm 54, so I'm going to start, looking bad and ugly. I don't do that. Not that 54-year-olds look ugly, but what I'm saying is there's a point where I think people give up, and they're giving up and they're letting time tell them, well, you're 54, you should look a certain way and you shouldn't care about your waistline. I do care, because there are people that are 90 that are more fit than some people who are 20 because they have the mindset that they're not aging. Okay, I've seen this. Actually, it's in the Grit book. There's this Turkish guy in the Grit book. I have it here, actually. Just a second. Sorry. This book.
Just to plug real quick, Shola wrote a book on time management. I dropped it into the comments on Facebook, and it's in the chat as well. It's a free download. So go ahead. Yeah. Grit.
There's a Turkish guy who's very old, has super amazing grit. That book's incredible. And he's like 70 something and has a body of a 20-year-old. So how do you manage around time? Okay, I went off on a tangent there. So my thing is, you have a certain number of hours in a day. And I think of them, as I said, as containers. So containers, you have a day as a container, and then the 5 days, that's another container. I really see things visually. And then you have the weekend, which is 2 containers or 1. Okay. So what am I going to do? How am I going to put this into containers? So That's why I do the 2 half days. It's like, because I know that I'm not going to let it just run away. And this thing of people, it really annoys me when people go, oh, well, I have, 3 days to do that. And I'm thinking, you're going to waste 3 days of your precious life that you are never going to get back. You're never going to get those days back. They're gone. Money you'll get back. You can never get time back. So I'm so time conscious. And I'm really, one thing I resent is people wasting my time. You can take my money, you can do anything. But if you waste my time, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get that back. So I think it's more the mindset of yes, OmniFocus is how am I going to use my containers and how am I going to break it down? So I actually have a timer. I'm going to get, it's here, and I time 15 minutes. I say, okay, I have this task. It's called the Pomodoro technique, but I've changed it to be more productive because they do 25 or 35. I break it into quarters of hours. So if I'm going to do something, I'll say, okay, I'm going to set it for a quarter of an hour. I'm going to start working. And, I get so much done in 15 minutes because I expect to get a lot done in 15 minutes. If I'd said, okay, I'm going to do it every hour, I would get a quarter done, literally. Now, I used to take forever. I used to be a real procrastinator. I was the worst procrastinator, I think, in the world. I was like a starving artist type living in Paris, in a garret, literally. Really bohemian. It was like, oh yeah, I'll do something when the muse hits me. So I'm really changed.
Yeah.
And I really respect time now. Really, because I used to waste so much time. And I was dreaming and I was going to cafes in Paris and, auditioning and all sorts of stuff. But I wasn't lazy. It was just, I saw it differently. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, a whole day would pass. So now I respect time.
I have a couple concrete recommendations around time management. Any sort of software that you can use to kind of help create this for yourself, I think, is important if you're digital focused, and most of us are. I use OmniFocus, which is a cloud-based between your phone and computer that helps you kind of Gantt task out projects in serial or in parallel or in one-offs. And so that has been really helpful for me in terms of sitting down and planning and then getting it all out there and then just concentrating on at the moment or like on the day about what it's telling me to do and knowing that I'm staying on task. You were mentioning the notebook. I use the drafts note, which is on my iPhone that lets me dictate into it or type into it, and then you can forward it either to various different softwares. Mine goes directly to my OmniFocus for it to do. So as soon as I think about something or someone tells me something, I dictate it and send it. Evernote, someone mentioned, is also a great place to take notes. And then I use Fantastical, which is a calendar app, cloud-based calendar app that pulls together all of the calendars and blocks things out so you can have like 4 Google calendars, your work calendar, iCloud calendars, your family calendar, all in one place. And you can set it to kind of block things off for yourself. So those are my tips. And last but not least, I want to talk about avoiding distraction and setting boundaries. And I am going to let Dr. Shola riff on this one. I think it's really important that we be able to figure out exactly what our time is worth and what our goals are worth. And it does not mean that everybody around you who you may love very much is on the same page. Or understand that those goals may affect and improve their lives as well. And so in order figuring out how to set boundaries with love and kindness for your time, your space, and your accomplishments is important. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're cutting people out, although it may be. For the purpose of this, it's figuring out how do I make sure that I get to the goal that I want to get by protecting my time, my soul, my energy to be able to focus on what I know is important. So Shola, why don't you talk to us about this?
So I think a lot of times when people are boundary deficient, as that's the word I like to use, it's because they don't have their own life as a priority. So that's kind of like the basic bottom line. So, when we were little, we asked for permission for everything, like mother may I, mother may I, mother may I, mother may I. Now, a lot of times we grow up and we still have mother may I mentality. So what does that do? That pretty much teaches us not to put ourselves first in anything. Because the minute you tell people, put yourself first, they say, oh, but that's selfish. I say, no, it's not selfish. It's self-compassion. So it starts with, what are your priorities? And it's the same thing with time, because if you have your priorities as your focus, then all these other things are secondary and you can give them their proper place. So for example, you have to get to work at 6:30 and your sister calls you at 12 midnight to come and take down her braids. The answer to that question is an automatic no. But to some people is like, oh, my sister called me to take down her braids at 12 midnight. We are always taking down braids. So I have braids on right now. So my sister called me to take down her braids at 12 midnight. I can't refuse because my sister is important to me. But guess what? Your sleep is just as important. And your job is just as important, because guess what? If you go to your sister's at 12 midnight to take down her braids, then what's going to happen to your work day? Right? And you find people who are boundary deficient, they're always running from pillar to post because they have this thing in their head that, oh, I have to help the whole world at great inconvenience to myself and my priorities. Another thing is that people want to be needed. Okay, people tie their worth and value to how much other people need them. One of the things I work with my clients, your self-worth is your self-worth. It's not tied to how many people need you, how many people want something from you, how many people can pull on you. Your self-worth is your self-worth. If people need you, it's okay. If they don't need you, it's also okay. So in the bid to want to be needed, exhibiting savior behavior, I have to save the world. Or if this person needs me, I'm more human. But you're not more human by what people need you for. You're human because you're human. So I think these main things are sort of the huge big barriers, some of the huge big barriers to boundary setting. Not having your priorities forefront and being addicted to being needed. Once people need me, I'm great. If people don't need me, I don't have a sense of self-worth. One of my accountability partner actually said, well, maybe people's lives are so uninteresting that people needing them is the way to go for them. I said, well, then we need to change that thinking to where you are valuable as a person, whether people need you or not. Now, what are my priorities? I will sit down, talk about my own priorities. My family's priority. My health is a priority. Because you'll find people, if your health isn't a priority, guess what? When you go out with your friends and eat just anything, because your health is not, you've taken pleasing your friends over the priority, that's your health. So, priorities, not addicted to being needed, is, I would say, some big picture things that will help you set boundaries. Of course, there are a lot more. I mean, I did a whole 2-hour masterclass on this, but those are the two main ones, I think.
Yeah, it's great. Jeanne, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, my thought is that I used to just be so full of guilt if I didn't say yes to everything. And now I'm like, you know what? People, like, especially online, people, I'm so guarded about my time and how valuable it is that when people go, oh, hey, can I get into a conversation? I say, why? And nicely, but why? Because I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going to spend 15 minutes talking to somebody. Why? And I think people don't value their own time. And certainly, like where I live in Cincinnati, and people here, they're always saying, oh, let's meet for coffee. I'm like, no, it's fine. We'll just talk on the phone.
Yeah.
Because to me, I got to put makeup on, get in my car and drive out to talk to somebody, and they're trying to sell me something. So I think self-worth is saying no. I mean, we all know that. Women know that. Self-worth is you say no in many ways when you want to say no and not getting pushed into. And this is a woman thing, the whole woman thing of saying yes or not saying no. It affects us on so many levels, and it's not just on the issue I'm talking about. I'm talking about it's everything. Like when you teach your kids, your daughters, to learn how to say no for small things, then when the large things come where they have to say no, they're going to be ready for that, because it's all this coming from the same energy. It's an energy of being selfed, enough to say, I don't want this. It's, again, what do you want? What do you not want is as important as what you want. So when somebody says, oh, I want to do this, I say, oh, no, thank you. And they go, oh, but I go, no, thank you. And I'm polite, but I'm very firm in what I will not tolerate what I do not want, what I just not tolerate, what I don't desire. And I'm not ever going to have anybody push me into anything ever again that I don't want, because I don't care about whether people like me or not, because those people don't matter to, unless it's my friends or family or my clients or people I really know and love and respect. A random person liking me is not important to me, literally.
Yeah,
I don't.
This comes really important as well when people are, choosing about how the environments that they eat in or how they eat. And it's really interesting because so many women will get on the phone with me and they'll be like, well, I don't think I can make any changes because my husband wants this, or my kids want this. And I'm like, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you have to prioritize what you want. And if your goal is to, lose 50 pounds and gain back your self capacity and show up for yourself in the world the way that you know that you're capable of doing, that means setting some boundaries around food and who's making the food and what kind of food is available. It's interesting. These boundaries do track into all parts of our lives 100%. I just wanted to say thank you. I just want to say thank you so much to Jeanne and to Shola for being here, and everyone that's hung on with us in Facebook. We've had about 40 people joining us live, which has been really fun, and another, I think, 80 that are signed up for replays. So it's really, really awesome. Love to kind of kick 2020 off with you ladies. I've put an offer up here on the webinar, and I'll put it into Facebook in the comments. If anyone wants to get onto a complimentary call with myself around lifestyle medicine and around food and value around food, you want to get on the call with Shola to talk about life coaching, showing up in your life and finding balance and power. If you want to get on the phone with Jeanne and talk about how you can skyrocket your business, we are offering you all, because you spent this time with us, free opportunities to get on the call with us. So you just click over there on your screen to get onto our calendars, and I will send it all to you as an email follow-up as well. And let's see here. What are the last couple comments here? We've got some boundaries. And let's see here. Shola is answering everybody here. Awesome. So Margaret, thank you for being here. Varsha here. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone on Facebook, and have a awesome New Year's. And I look forward to talking to anyone who wants to hop on the phone with me. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for having me, Heather. Bye.